What's up, everybody? This is Darren from ClefToneGurus.com, thanking you for joining me for the 5th installment in this video series, Getting Better Audio at Home. And today, as promised, I'm back with this video talking about computers. So, what do you need to know about computers? Well, you need one. And we'll see you next week. Okay, so maybe I can't let you off that easily. I've waited really to do this video on computers for so long simply because nowadays most everybody already has one. They've gotten so much more powerful, so much more affordable, that if you've purchased one in the last 3 or 4 years, like most people I know, including myself, chances are you already have what you need to get started recording your audio in your own home. But I thought it'd be good just to maybe talk about some considerations if you're still in the market for a computer, or even if you already have a computer, just making sure and double checking that you really are set to go. So, for those of you who are in the market for a computer, what are some considerations that you need to look at? Well, the very first thing, and actually this is for those of you who already have computers as well as those who might be in the market, the very first thing you want to do is, once you've decided what DAW you're going to use, what software and what hardware you're going to use, go to the manufacturer's website. Look at their numbers on their system requirements in order to be able to run their software and their hardware, because that's pretty much going to dictate to you what you need to make sure you have in your machine. And so in your machine, if you have a Windows machine already, or if you have a Mac, what you need to do on Windows is go to Start, Control Panel, and then click on System. That will give you the numbers of your system that you need to look at, and then you just match it up with what you find on the website. On the Apple, you'll click the Apple icon on the desktop in the top left-hand corner of the screen, and then select About This Mac. That will tell you the numbers that you need to know that you have on your computer on a Mac. And also, another consideration that you'll need to think about is what version, if you're running Windows or a PC, same thing, Windows PC, if you're running Windows, another consideration you need to consider is, do you have a 64-bit system or a 32-bit system? And if you don't have a 64-bit system, I would highly recommend that you upgrade to one. And the way that you can tell that is, again, you go to that system area of your computer in the control panel, and it should tell you in that same screen. The biggest consideration for that is that 32-bit computers only allow you to support up to 4 gigs of RAM maximum. Well, that's an issue nowadays, especially when you start talking about some of the different audio software out there, because a lot of times that's like the minimum requirement for running the software is 4 gigs of RAM. But 64-bit machines allow you to run and support much more RAM than 4 gigabytes of RAM. That allows you to get up to 8, 16. I've seen some motherboards on computers that support all the way up to 64. Now that's pretty much overkill, and not to get the gigs of RAM confused with the gigs that you find on a hard drive. That's a different thing. But just make sure that whatever version of Windows it is that you have, that it's at least 64-bit. So that way it kind of helps you future-proof your machine a little bit if you ever do need to get more RAM. And then the other consideration with your type of computer is, are you going to need a laptop or a desktop? Are you someone who travels a lot and you need to be on the go while you're doing your work? Can you come home to your desktop at home and be just fine with recording and working on that? I'm going to tell you that desktops typically are and can be more powerful than laptops, and also that it's easier to upgrade those types of machines than it is a laptop. But again, there's that portability factor that you have with a laptop. You can take your work with you, just get up and go. So that is a very nice thing about laptops. And then in my experience too, using laptops, they're usually a little bit more quieter than desktops, at least the ones that I use, because I always build my own desktops, and so The fans can get a little noisy keeping that beast cool, because I always put like top of the line everything in my desktop. But anyway, yeah, laptops can be a little bit more quieter, so it's easier to have them in the room with you to work on them while you're doing your recording. So that's another consideration, because again, you always want to try and control your environment as much as you can when you're recording. Now, talking about Mac versus PC, it's really not that big of an issue nowadays, because most audio software that is made works just as well on a Mac as it does on PC. But I will say, if you do have it in the budget to get a Mac, the Mac lends itself a lot more to creative endeavors for content creation. And that's not just audio. We're talking video and editing. And Apple has really put a lot of slick features into its software for all of those different multimedia types of content that you can create. So you can definitely get a little bit more of a polished feel and look to your products that you're creating on a Mac. Not to say that you can't get the job done with Windows, but I will say that there are times, because I have both a Mac machine and a Windows machine, and I just know exactly which one to go to for what. And 9 times out of 10, for a lot of the stuff that's creative involved, especially with video, I tend to favor my Mac a lot more than the PC. Other considerations as far as a computer is your audio interface. If you get one that's used, and I don't know if they even make them new anymore, but I know definitely you can find these used. If you get an audio interface that has a FireWire connection, I'm just going to say, make sure that your computer also has a FireWire port that you can plug that audio interface into. FireWire is kind of gone by the wayside now, so it might be a little hard to find that without maybe finding an aftermarket card to go into your desktop PC or whatever to support FireWire. If you really want to play it safe, just make sure that whatever your audio interface you get has a USB connector on it. There's also Thunderbolt, so just a heads up to you guys, if you use Thunderbolt, make sure that you have a Mac, because that is a Mac only connector. So they do make audio interfaces that take advantage of that type of connector. So those are just some things that you guys can think about and consider when it comes to your computer, and making sure you have what you need when it comes to getting better audio at home. So tune in next time, and I'll have some information for you, maybe about some headphones and why those are important in the next video. So alright guys, until then, we'll catch you later.